Hello, everyone, and welcome to Advective Weather Emergency Live coverage here. We have a tornado emergency that's just gone into place for Scotts Bluff in the state of Nebraska. Again, that's a tornado emergency that's just gone into place there, so we're going to be covering this right here on Advective Weather over the next little bit. But this is for Scotts Bluff, Morrill, and Sioux counties in the state of Nebraska until 8 p.m. Mountain Time, so for at least the next half hour. And we have a tornado emergency that's currently in place at this time. So, big time tornado on the ground now. Again, tornado emergency in place. But for now, a big time tornado heading in the general direction of Scotts Bluff, Nebraska. And this is an extremely dangerous situation that continues to unfold around there. So we're going to continue to monitor this closely, but if there is a tornado on the ground, and we think there is, it's going to be there just south of Scotts Bluff, south of Coston. It's heading in the general direction of Scotts Bluff. So this is an extremely dangerous situation. Again, that's a tornado emergency currently in place for Scotts Bluff. Again, this is a weather spotter confirmed tornado, and this thing is heading in the general direction again of Scotts Bluff. So this thing will be at Terrytown around 7:35. This thing will be at Scotts Bluff around 7:40. Scotts Bluff Airport around 7:45. Minterra around 7:50. So we are on the air here, and I'm just trying to get everything set up best I can. So just continuing to take a look at this and seeing what's going on here. But in Scotts Bluff, you need to be getting to your safe place right now. It's the lowest level of a sturdy building in an interior room. That's preferably going to be a bathroom or a closet, something of that nature, as this exceptionally dangerous situation does continue at this time. So we're on the air here. We're covering this extremely dangerous situation as this tornado emergency remains in place there for Scotts Bluff. The tornado is currently heading in the general direction of the city. It's not quite there yet, so if you're in Scotts Bluff, you need to be in your tornado safe place right here, right now, as this big time tornado is on the ground. So if you're in Gering, if you're in Scotts Bluff, if you're in Terrytown, Hillridge, Trout, James, places like that in the state of Nebraska, you're in an extremely dangerous situation here as a large, damaging, dangerous tornado is on the ground, confirmed by weather spotters, heading towards Scotts Bluff. So again, that's a tornado emergency that's in place for those areas. That is the highest level of tornado warning that the National Weather Service can issue. Now, this is not just a large tornado producer. This thing also has hail up to and perhaps in excess of 4 inches in diameter. So this thing is huge in terms of both tornado and hail potential. So regardless of what happens with the tornado here, I do also know that we have giant hail up in there. Again, that's confirmed 4-inch hail by weather spotters as well. So we have a large, violent, extremely dangerous tornado that's on the ground heading towards Scotts Bluff. Now, the good news is the radar presentation doesn't look particularly impressive. The bad news is that we do have confirmation that there is a dangerous tornado on the ground, and that is according to storm spotters and the Weather Service. So we're going to take their word here. We're going to treat this as if it's a large, extremely dangerous tornado, and we're going to continue to watch this with time here as it unfolds. I'm going to see if I can get the live chat up here, see if we have any questions. But again, it's a tornado emergency that's currently in place. So if you know anyone here near Scotts Bluff there in the state of Nebraska, please get this to them as quickly as possible so they can get the information they need to stay safe during this life-threatening situation. If not doing that, at the very least, let them know that there's a big tornado heading their way. They need to be in their tornado safe place. Again, that's a tornado emergency for Gering and Scotts Bluff. So that's for eastern Scotts Bluff, northwestern Morrill, and southeastern Sioux counties in the Nebraska panhandle here, as this extremely dangerous situation does continue to unfold. And again, that tornado emergency is in place until 8 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time. So again, this is likely a large, violent, extremely dangerous tornado that's on the ground. And I don't use that wording very often. That's reserved for some of the bigger tornadoes. But again, that's a confirmed tornado So you need to get to your shelter right now if you're in Scotts Bluff. This is the real deal. This is something that needs to be taken extremely seriously here, as again, the Weather Service does have reason to believe that a tornado emergency is needed here. That is used to denote the possibility of catastrophic damage to property and a catastrophic loss of life. All of those things being possible. Let's take a look at the velocities with this thing, and you'll notice it's somewhat strong, especially right around here near Gehrig. So if you're in Gehrig, make sure that you are in your tornado safe place, especially this thing's moving right through there. Now Scotts Bluff, Terrytown, also in the general direction of this. This thing is moving east-northeast at a speed of 30 miles per hour. So we're actually going to track this out now for you and see what the timing looks like here. On the more aggressive end of the spectrum. So we're going to say 35 miles per hour just to be safe in case this thing speeds up a little bit. If you're in Carlson, you've got 13 minutes until this thing gets to you. If you're in Baxter, you've got 16 minutes until this thing gets to you. And to be clear, this is a large, damaging, extremely dangerous tornado that's on the ground. This thing could have the potential to be particularly strong. Again, the Weather Service issuing a tornado emergency in this case. So make sure that you are in your tornado safe place here as this does move through. Again, a tornado emergency is the highest level of tornado warning that the National Weather Service can issue. This is not issued lightly at all. The Weather Service is very reserved when it comes to how often they issue these. So they only issue these in the utmost of extremely dangerous situations. So make sure you're in that tornado safe place. If nothing else, again, that's the lowest level sturdy building interior room. Again, that tornado emergency is in place for Scotts Bluff. So we're going to continue to watch this very closely. As long as this tornado emergency is in effect, we're going to continue to monitor this potentially life-threatening situation here as this large, damaging, dangerous tornado continues its march through Scotts Bluff. So we're going to continue to monitor that. I also just want to note that we do have in Cimarron and Texas counties a confirmed tornado in the state of Oklahoma as well. That thing is heading in the general direction of Elkhart, in the state of Kansas there. So if you are in Morton County in Kansas or you're in Cimarron and Texas counties in Oklahoma, confirmed tornado down there as well. We're not going to really check in on that one too much because, again, highest level tornado warning, that's a tornado emergency, is currently in place for Scotts Bluff here as a pretty good looking bit of rotation moves on through there. Again, that's a confirmed life-threatening tornado by storm spotters. So again, that's a tornado emergency. That's the highest level of tornado warning that you can get. So if anyone here knows anyone that's in Scotts Bluff, in the state of Nebraska, anywhere, in Scotts Bluff County, Morrill County, or Sioux County, please send this out to them. Let them know this is happening. Again, it's a tornado emergency in Scotts Bluff, just south of there, between Scotts Bluff and Gehrig. That is where this potentially violent tornado is, and this thing is heading northeast at about 30 miles per hour at this time. This thing's not just producing a damaging to potentially violent tornado. This thing is also producing 4-inch diameter hail. That is gigantic. That is also confirmed by storm spotters. So catastrophic tornado damage threat with this thing. It's the real deal. The major thing though with this as well is the giant hail. So no matter where you are within this tornado emergency, whether you think you're going to get hit by the tornado or not, note that you also have large to giant destructive hail also moving in your general direction. So regardless, you need to be in your safe place. If you're in Covert, if you're in Scotts Bluff, if you're in Gehrig, if you're in Minutair, if you're in Melbeta, if you're in Mintle, if you're in James, if you're in any of the locations that I just called out, you are in a tornado emergency and you need to be in your tornado safe place immediately. That's going to be the lowest level of a sturdy building in an interior room, preferably a bathroom or closet. This thing is going on an absolute tear through Scotts Bluff County at this time and is heading in the general direction here of Morrill County, as well as Box Boot County at this time. If you're in Sioux County, you are within this tornado emergency just barely. That's this northern end right here, and you still need to be in shelter if you're in that small sliver of the county, but no named cities within Sioux County are currently within this. So the general counties that I'd say need to watch out for this, if you are in southeastern Sioux County, if you are in Box Butte County, or you are in northern Morrill County, you need to be watching this very closely, as this could become a very serious situation for you very quickly. If you are in Gering right now, this is likely where the tornado currently is, so I hope you're in your safe place there. If you're in Hillridge, if you're in Carlson, Baxter, Minneterre, Melbeta, these are the areas that are up next, and eventually Tony there in the state of Nebraska, all of the places I just called out in Scottsbluff County. So if you're in Scottsbluff County here, especially on the southern side, you need to be going to your safe place right now, and even the northern side of the county, especially the northeastern side, needs to be in their safe place as well. That includes Mintle, James, areas like that on the northern side. If you are anywhere north of State Route 26 after the city of Mitchell, you need to be in your tornado safe place right now, as this is a extremely dangerous situation that continues to unfold as this tornado signature does continue to look somewhat potent here. So let's actually take a look now at a couple of the products we can use to see what's going on with this. This is a bit de-alias. This isn't actually giving us the true story. I'll see if I can go just one frame farther back here so you can see what's truly going on with this. But you can see there we have some strong winds with this. This is likely where our tornado is located. It's probably a little bit farther to the northeast now. Again, that latest scan is a bit glitched out, so I don't want to show any information that could potentially look misleading. But in Gering as well, let's take a look now at the correlation coefficient. This is the high-resolution product that we use to monitor the potential for tornado debris. There is some sort of drop there near Gering. Now, I'm not sure if that's tornadic or if that's hail. It looks like the couplet is a bit farther south, so not 100% sure if that is a debris signature at this time. Honestly, I'd say it's probably not, but we'll see here in just a moment as this does move through if this is picking up large amounts of debris, things like that, much more definitively in the next scan or two. But again, a large, damaging, dangerous tornado likely over Gering right now, right in between Terrytown and Gering. This thing is making a very close approach to Scottsbluff, so you still need to be in your shelter if you're there. If you're in Hubbard Corner, you're in the clear. You're in the all clear for this thing. This thing has moved away from you. If you're in Jane, I'm also going to give you an all clear for this as well, but this is still an extremely dangerous situation there. If you're in Coston, Scottsbluff, Terrytown, Gering, Hillridge, Trout, James, Carlson, Baxter, Minneterre, Melbeta, Tony, any of those areas, North Platte, Valley Boat Club, Southgate, Villa Acres, any of those areas, you need to be making sure that you are in your tornado safe places. Again, you're under a tornado emergency. That is the highest level tornado warning you can get, and the appearance of this tornadic thunderstorm has improved rather rapidly here now in the latest frame, unfortunately. So let's take a look at that. And this is a bit de-alias, but we have a very strong looking couplet now down a bit farther south from where it was. This thing has now deviated farther south. So if I'm in Minneterre, Melbeta especially, you guys weren't in the projected path of this before of the most likely area to get hit, although you were still supposed to get hit. Now you guys might be in the crosshairs of this thing. It has taken a dive southward. That is a sign that this thing could be strengthening. It's becoming a bit more independent from its parent circulation as it continues its strengthening phase. So unfortunately, even though this didn't look quite as impressive a little bit ago as I would have thought for a tornado emergency, perhaps for a storm, this thing has rapidly picked up. So this thing could very well be on the ground. A particularly dangerous, potentially even violent tornado could be on the ground there. So I'm really worried for the folks there in Gering and places south. If I'm in Scottsbluff, even though it looks like this tornado is likely going to miss, I'm still staying in my safe place. You're likely getting large to giant hail, and this thing could still hook right back around northward, as these tornadoes do tend to do in these more strong situations like this. So we're going to continue to keep a close focus on this tornadic thunderstorm as this does continue to occur. But again, that is an extremely dangerous tornado that is likely on the ground now, just south of Gering here, south of Highway 71 and Route 92 there. New severe thunderstorm warnings just been issued for this thing. That includes parts of Sioux County now, a bit farther north there, and this is for a possible tornado, 2.5-inch hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds. So the hail size has been downgraded a bit, but the tornado vortex signature on this thing has become much more considerable in the latest couple of frames. So I'm actually going to show you now the latest tornado vortex signature, and we've also now just had an update to that tornado emergency. I'll read that off momentarily, but there it is. That's where your tornado is going to be. If there's a big tornado on the ground, which there likely is, it's going to be right here. It's going to be just south and east of Gering. It's going to be south of Hilleridge. It's heading in the general direction of Minnetonka and Milbeta at this time and could recurve farther north. So Baxter, Carlson, even Trout and Hilleridge, I'd say, need to be watching for this potential tornado. And if you're in Scottsbluff, Terrytown, Gering, you're not in the clear yet either. You're still in the thick of this thing, and you still need to make sure that you are in your safe place. If you're in Hague now, I'd say you're in the all clear. Hubbard Corner now no longer within the tornado emergency either. And there it is. The update text has just come in, so let me read that off now for you. This is the latest from the National Weather Service. A tornado emergency still in place for Gering and Scotts Bluff, in effect until 8 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time for eastern Scotts Bluff, northwestern Morrill, and southeastern Sioux counties. At 7:45 Mountain Daylight Time, a confirmed large and destructive tornado was located 7 miles south of Gering or near Scotts Bluff, moving northeast at 25 miles per hour. Again, they repeat, this is a tornado emergency for Gering and Scotts Bluff. This is a particularly dangerous situation, and they say you need to get to your tornado safe place right here, right now, and I could not agree more. Again, what does that look like? That's going to be the lowest level of a sturdy building in an interior room, preferably a bathroom or a closet. If you're in a car, you need to pull off a highway. You need to get out of your vehicle. Vehicles can be death traps for these things. Get into a sturdy gas station, a sturdy restaurant, anywhere like that. Have them let you in so that way you can be in some sort of sturdy shelter. But for the love of all that is good, do not be in your motor vehicle during a tornadic thunderstorm. That is also the case for mobile homes. You cannot be in a mobile home in a tornadic storm like this. This will wipe it clean. I don't care what they say about the mobile home. Mobile homes that have been rated for winds over 140 miles per hour have been toppled by winds way under that. So this definitely could have wind speeds at or greater than that, so we need to continue to watch this very closely. And if you're in a mobile home, again, you need to get out, you need to get to a sturdy shelter. If there is no sturdy shelter, you need to still get out of the home, lie in the flattest, lowest ditch that you can possibly find. That's still going to be safer than the mobile home, because the mobile home is going to have lots of debris within it that can cause you to be in a very sticky situation there. Very tight tornadic couplet with this as well, but before I get into more of the storm analysis, let's talk a bit more about locations impacted. Again, they're talking about this being a deadly tornado. They now say is radar confirmed. The text that they have here, they're making it very clear that you're in a life-threatening situation. That's what they're calling it. They're saying flying debris will be deadly to those caught without shelter. Mobile homes will be completely destroyed. Considerable damage to homes, businesses, and vehicles is likely, and complete destruction is possible. That is from the Weather Service here in Sioux, Nebraska. In Cheyenne, Wyoming has actually issued this, but this is for Scotts Bluff, Morrill, and Sioux counties in Nebraska. But National Weather Service Cheyenne, they're using very strong language. You don't see that often. Again, they're saying complete destruction is possible with this tornado that's now just east of Gering, heading in the general direction of Minnetonka. So that's extremely dangerous. Minnetonka, you're probably going to get impacted by this thing around 7:50 p.m. Mountain time. It's about now, actually. This thing looks like it's probably running a bit behind schedule in that regard. So if you're in Minnetonka, you need to be running to shelter. You need to be getting there as quickly as possible, as this thing is right on your doorstep. If we take a look at the latest velocity signature, you can see it is very strong. It's right there. It's east now, slightly to the south of Gering. Minnetonka now directly in the path of this thing. And again, this thing could curve back north too. So if I'm in Charleston, if I'm in Carlson, if I'm in Baxter, I'm still looking out for this as well. Again, this is all happening in Scotts Bluff County. We've also had some reports now of large to very large hail here, up to the size of baseballs by trained spotters there in Scotts Bluff. So they got some pretty big hail out of this thing. And again, we still have a substantiated rotational signature with this as it continues its march in a general direction of Minnetonka. So this thing just moved through around Gering, and this likely produced some substantial damage there, given the tornado emergency. If I'm in Minnetonka, if I'm in Milbeta, if I'm in Baxter, Carlson, Tony, even if I'm in Hilleridge, because these things can wrap back around and hook around, I'd still be in my tornado safe place. If I'm in Terrytown, if I'm in Gering, if I'm in Scotts Bluff, I'm still in my safe place too. There's likely large to giant hail that could be falling there. And again, this thing could hook back around at any time. So you need to make sure that you're in your tornado safe place if in this tornado emergency, even if you believe the worst has passed, which is certainly possible. However, there is no guarantee. So we're going to continue to monitor this extremely closely as this extremely dangerous situation continues to unfold. Again, that's a tornado emergency that is in place there just to the south and east of Scottsbluff. If you have any questions, comments, concerns regarding this tornadic storm or other tornadic storms happening across the nation, please feel free to ask in the chat section. I'll be glad to answer those as soon as I can, especially once this situation calms down a bit. And then beyond that, we will stay on the air with this storm until the situation calms down some. So we're going to continue to be on the air tonight for as long as we need to be. But my goodness, this is an extremely dangerous tornadic thunderstorm that continues to move on through the general area. This thing is in Scottsbluff County. It's now on the eastern side, heading towards Minutair, south of James, west of Minutair, east of Gering, and it's heading to the east at about 25 miles per hour. So if I'm in Minutair, I need to be in my tornado safe place right now as this thing. It looks like it might head a bit north of you, but still, I'd be in my safe place. Mobeta, same thing. If I'm in Carlson, if I'm in Bagster, I'm still in my tornado safe place as well as this extremely dangerous situation continues. You'll notice this region right here, this is where your large to giant hail is going to fall. This region right here, this is where your violent, potentially destructive tornado this is where your potentially destructive tornado is. So that's what we're going to continue to look at here with time as this continues to have a very prominent radar signature here. Again, this prompted a tornado emergency by the Weather Service. Those are very rare. We haven't had one of those in a long time here. In, I'd say, a couple of months or so. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's been a while since the last time we've had a tornado emergency, so it's definitely something to take very seriously. It's definitely something I'm taking with the utmost seriousness, hence why we are currently on the air here. If you do want to take a look at what's going on long range wise after this, we can talk about that here in not too long as well. As long range, again, this is looking like a more active period for severe thunderstorms. But for now, I want to continue to look at this rather robust tornadic signature. This thing has now decided to rehook back to the north. So if I'm in Carlson, Baxter, those are the areas I warned before, even Hilleridge. I'd say that these areas need to be on the lookout now as this thing moves north. And Minutair and Mobeta, I'd still be in my safe place. This thing could dive back south at any moment. However, odds are you've probably lucked out. That's the good news. Still, I would stay in my safe place as this could make a turn. You're still in the highest level of tornado warning that there is. But I still want to make very clear just who it looks like is in and who it looks like is out of the worst of the impact. So if I'm in Hilleridge, you're getting giant hail right now, likely over the size of baseballs. If I'm in Carlson, Bagster, that's definitely about to happen to you. However, the hope is that you're not going to experience a violent tornado, which certainly could happen, unfortunately. So if I'm in Covert now, I'm going to give you the all clear here from this potentially destructive tornado. Same thing in Coston. If I'm in Scottsbluff, Tarrytown, and Gering, I'd wait just a bit longer. I would not be out of my safe place yet as this dangerous situation continues. And we do have a new frame here as this thing moves northward. The good news, looking to be on the radar data that I'm not showing on this screen yet. This should hopefully update shortly. The velocity looks much weaker in the latest frame. The bad news is this thing is definitely heading in the general direction of Carlson and Bagster. So if there's a tornado still on the ground, that's where it's headed. It's headed there quickly. And despite the fact that this doesn't look quite as robust as it once did, it still is robust, it still is dangerous, and I would argue there's the location of your potential tornado. Again, it's heading towards Carlson at this time. That's the next big city that I'm going to say needs to be watching out for this. But at this point, if I'm in Scottsbluff, Tarrytown, or Gering, 5 more minutes. Just 5 more minutes. We're going to make sure the storm doesn't do anything erratic. It doesn't do anything crazy. And as long as that's the case, you guys are going to be in the clear there. But still, if you are in Scottsbluff County on the eastern side, east of Scottsbluff and Gering, and north of Bradley and McGrew, you need to make sure that you're still in your tornado safe place as this extremely dangerous situation continues. Again, a damaging, dangerous tornado potentially on the ground here, heading in the general direction of Carlson at this time. That's about your location of your tornado. And again, it's moving northeast as of the last update at about 25 miles per hour. according to the National Weather Service. And we have just had a report there of a trained spotter confirming a tornado as of not too long ago here, just to southeast of Gering. This thing was right along State Route 92. Storm spotter report goes as follows. This is from a trained spotter 4 miles east-southeast of Gering. A rain-wrapped tornado with lofted debris was located at County Road 26 and Highway 92. Again, that's County Road 26 and Highway 92 was where that was along. Again, let's get the latest on this potential tornado's location. It does look a lot weaker. That's the good news. And we now have just had a new warning come out. So this is going to be the one that I'm going to use to base off my latest decisions here. It's within the tornado emergency, so I'm going to say that the tornado emergency, normally when they do this, they mean to downgrade it. So that's how I'm going to take this, as if it's a bit of a downgrade here. This is good news. So the latest warning here, this red polygon here, this is the latest areas that are within now a warning, and I would say is of considerable enough danger to worry about. The tornado emergency now, it does look like they have decided to downgrade that to this warning here, the one that's kind of inside the purple polygon here. So if you're in Scottsbluff County in the Nebraska Panhandle on the northeastern side, you're now in a tornado warning until 8:30 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time for what they say is a particularly dangerous situation. That's just one level below a tornado emergency, so that's still well above a base tornado warning. It's still something that needs to be taken extremely seriously, but the good news is they have downgraded from a tornado emergency now to a particularly dangerous situation, which doesn't sound good because it's not. It's still a very dangerous situation, but that's always good news to see, and that tornado emergency has been allowed now to expire. So this is the only warning now that we currently have in place here. Let's talk about where that's for and what is expected to happen with this. A large and extremely dangerous tornado is located over Scottsbluff Airport or near Scottsbluff, moving northeast at 25 miles per hour. As of 7:56 p.m. Mountain Time, according to the Weather Service. Again, they're saying this thing is moving northeast at 25, a particularly dangerous situation, and they are talking about this being a damaging tornado. Now, they have downgraded the source to radar-indicated rotation, so this is no longer confirmed. That's the good news. This is no longer a confirmed tornado on the ground, so there's a possibility that this thing is lifting or has lifted, but regardless, it does look a lot weaker. It does look like the structure of the storm is not quite as favorable for a tornado, but still likely a tornado on the ground. That's why the Weather Service still has this as a particularly dangerous situation, and we're going to continue to watch this as it happens. If I'm in the Lake Minnetonka campground or Lake Minnetonka, I'm still watching this closely, as this could be on your doorstep here in about 10 minutes time. Again, the Weather Service saying that a large, extremely dangerous, and potentially deadly tornado is developing. To protect your life, take cover now. They're saying move to a basement or an interior room on the lowest floor of a sturdy building. Avoid windows. If you're outdoors in a mobile home or in a vehicle, move to the closest substantial shelter and protect yourself from flying debris in every way you can. Also talking about the possibility of this warranting a flash flood warning in the not-too-distant future as this extremely dangerous situation does continue. Again, we're going to continue to watch this very closely as this extremely dangerous situation continues. The hail's now been downgraded to 2.5 inches. That is the size there. Again, 2.5 inches in diameter, I believe. That's somewhere around the size of ping pong balls. I think ping pong balls are a bit smaller than that, but still, generally speaking, that's nothing to mess around with. 2.5-inch hail is the real deal here. Let's continue to take a look at what's going on with this storm now. Let's tell you where this is located. If there's a tornado on the ground, this thing is now located about due east of Scottsbluff. This thing is near Hilleridge. This thing is heading north there, and again, Hilleridge. This is kind of what I warned about. This thing was going to take a turn to the north a bit, and now it's almost closer to Hilleridge than it is to Carlson, so that's why we warn people after this is passed, because sometimes these things can loop back around like this tornado is currently doing, and that can cause some real situations where people get caught off guard. Let's talk about this a bit more. If I'm in Scottsbluff, Tarrytown, or Gering, you are now in the all clear. You are no longer within a situation that is extremely dangerous. The hail has passed. The tornado has passed. And in the latest frame here, very good news. The couplet has all but completely fizzled away. If there is still a tornado, it's likely very weak. It's near Hillridge right now. It's right around this particular location there, just to the east of Hillridge. But good news here, it does look like this thing has really begun to weaken. So we're going to continue to take a look at this very closely. One question in chat here. Is correlation coefficient useless because of the hail? It depends. In this case, it's pretty useless because this is so far away from the radar. And of course, yes, there's some very large to potentially giant hail in this thing as well. And that can also muck things up. So unless I saw a very well-defined circular debris signature right over in association with that tornadic couplet, alongside some other things like looking at spectrum width, if I saw those things and a visible debris ball on reflectivity, I'd be very convinced that we have a large, violent tornado on the ground. As of now, the velocity doesn't look very good, the correlation coefficient doesn't, the spectrum width doesn't. All signs are pointing to this having weakened pretty quickly here, as it has undergone what is known as an occlusion within this storm. So we're going to continue to cover this as it unfolds here, but this looks much, much weaker now. That's the good news. The rotation is much more elongated, and odds are, at this point, if I were a betting man, there's probably not even a tornado on the ground at this time. Still, though, the Weather Service has deemed this to be a particularly dangerous situation, just given the history of this thing. So we're going to continue to watch it as the situation continues to unfold. So again, that was a big-time tornado emergency for Scottsbluff. It looks like this thing may have hit Gering nearly directly. Hopefully this thing did not cause any huge damage. Hopefully it was pretty minor. Hopefully the areas there, the people there are all okay. We'll have more information on that here relatively soon. Someone there, Raymond, asking, are there other confirmed tornadoes in the area? There aren't any in the state of Nebraska other than this one that isn't even confirmed anymore. This is now radar indicated, but still remains a particularly dangerous situation according to the Weather Service. Our other tornadic storm there that is confirmed, this one is farther south. That is in the states of Kansas and Oklahoma. This one is confirmed. This is with a supercell that is currently impacting Morton County in the state of Kansas, and it's impacting northwestern Texas County in the state of Oklahoma. This thing has produced some baseballs in terms of hail size, and this thing also does have a confirmed tornado that was weather spotter confirmed as of 8:53 p.m. Central, although it was radar indicated as of 9 p.m. Central, according to the Southern Office. So this one might not even be confirmed anymore, which would certainly be good news there. That's what we're currently looking at. And again, the major story of the night has been this Scottsbluff County, Nebraska storm, which did produce what looked like a pretty robust rotational signature as of not too long ago. But it really has begun to die down here. And that's certainly good news. So we're going to continue to watch this very, very closely. We're going to see if it does spur back to life here. And I'm just going to do some storm structure analysis here. So this is split a little bit. You have your left split and your right split supercell. And these are both going to head in their own separate ways. But it's the southern cell that is of more concern here. Now, when it comes to rotation, there's nothing immediately concerning. If there were a tornado, it would be right here, but this is too weak for that at this point, in my opinion. There likely isn't a tornado on the ground at this time. However, the Weather Service still does have a tornado warning in place, so if I'm in Carlson, if I'm in James, they're in Scottsbluff County, I'm still in my tornado safe place until that warning is allowed to expire. But the good news is that couplet does look much, much weaker. So unless we hear something from storm spotters, I think we are in pretty good shape. So, my goodness. So I'm actually taking a look at some stuff here on social media from storm spotters. Some good news here. It looks like this tornadic storm may not have even had a tornado on the ground for all that long. Storm spotters making it clear it didn't seem like there was a big tornado on the ground when this first got upgraded. However, that did change during the lifespan of this. The velocity signature improved quite rapidly. Um, so My goodness, we're just going to continue to take a look at this and see what decisions the Weather Service continues to make. All right, well, let's continue to monitor this situation here. No updates to the tornado warning there. Still a particularly dangerous situation for northeastern Scottsbluff counties, so I'm still going to encourage people in Carlson, Baxter, Hilleridge, Trout, James to remain in their tornado safe place. However, I'm not seeing any evidence of a tornado on my end, personally. So that's certainly good news. Let's take a look at what's happening now further south a bit with this potential tornado as well. Farther south there in the state of Kansas. This is now radar indicated for the states of Kansas, as well as Oklahoma there. There's a radar indicated rotation here as well, and then another radar indicated tornadic thunderstorm there in Stanton County in the state of Kansas there too. So that's the good news. But yeah, we're continuing to watch storm up here in Scottsbluff. This has been the newsmaker of the night. And there are some signs here that this could begin to reorganize pretty quick. The biggest sign here is that bit of a hook that we're starting to see. So I think if we do see another tornadic circulation out of this thing, it's going to be over here near Craft, along State Route 26. So we'll see if that's what ends up happening there, but there's no strong rotation with this right now, and that has just been updated now. And that is now for a tornado 2-inch hail. Its radar indicated rotation no longer has the PDS wording. So now we are down to all radar indicated tornadoes. Now this thing, it doesn't have a huge inflow notch, anything like that. So here's how this is going to work. I'm going to stay on the air for the next 5 minutes or so, and we're going to watch this storm. We're going to see what's going on with the other storms, and if you have any questions, I'll be sure to answer those as well. But if in about 5 minutes or so we don't see much activity, I'm going to sign off for the night. Of course, that's assuming that nothing else particularly crazy happens. So let's see here. Someone's saying, I'm surprised they kept the PDS tag. I mean, you don't see an active tornado, and hopefully it doesn't bother their false alarm rate. Yeah, this was definitely one of those situations where this definitely could have been a false alarm. We'll just have to see. It looks sketchy, according to storm spotters. The good news is this has now been downgraded to radar indicated rotation. That's about it, with not too much in the way of a substantiated tornadic signature. However, there's still some rotation. We actually have two areas here. Our first one is right here. Our second one is right here. So our first one is north of Minutair and east of Scottsbluff. Our second one is south and east of there. That's to the west of Craft, to the east of Minutair. And we are starting to see now what looks to be some inflow. Could be surging into this thing. And so that most certainly could mean that this could produce more tornadic storms as we head later into the night. Again, we'll just have to see. But again, it's 4 minutes or so until I'm going to call it a night here on the air, unless something else particularly crazy happens. But if any of you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything like that, please feel free to ask, and I'll be happy to answer them. again, still, if you're in Carlson, there in Scottsbluff County, I'm in my safe place, just in case. This is still a radar indicated tornado warning, so they do see enough rotation that there's a possibility of a tornado, but this is no longer a tornado warning that's above their base level. Someone saying, I've seen 2 tornadoes on live streams in this tornado emergency area, so definitely not a false alarm. It's always good to hear. We'll see what the intensity of this thing ends up being. Someone else asking, before you sign off, what are your thoughts on the surprise, at least to me, of an EF1 rating from yesterday? I'd assume you're talking about the tornado there that happened just south of Denver. You know, that kind of stuff, that happens. We see that kind of stuff a lot, where these radar presentations look quite good. Looks quite good on radar, and then the damage doesn't add up to what the radar said. Sometimes that has to do with the tornado not being as intense as what was initially thought, and sometimes that has to do with the fact the tornado didn't move over anything that had enough damage indicators to warrant a higher rating. So, you know, the EF scale, it's a game of luck as much as it is a game of how strong the tornado actually was. The tornado has to actually hit enough things to get the rating. So you could have a very strong, violent tornado worthy of an EF5 rating, but if it just knocks over a lawn chair, it's getting an EF0 or even an EF unrated kind of rating. So that's just how that scale works. You know, there are definitely some issues with it, but it's the best way that we can see to measure the strength of tornadic thunderstorms. Would like to note now we do have a confirmed tornado near Ulysses, Kansas. So we're going to talk about this real quick. Again, that's for Grant and Stanton counties there, and that is a very strong velocity signature with this storm. There are actually 2 of them that look particularly impressive here. So I'm going to go over to our velocity. And it's all garbled here, but there's an impressive signature here. There's an impressive signature here. Both of those need to be monitored very closely, as those could be potentially damaging tornadic storms there. Again, that's confirmed. And this is confirmed because of trained weather spotters. They're also saying this thing is dropping tennis balls. That's what 2.5-inch hail is. It's tennis balls. So that's quite impressive. Quite impressive there from that storm. It's producing large hail, and again, perhaps a damaging, dangerous tornado there. And again, here's the spotter report. It's from the Spotter Network. It's from a storm chaser in Scranton, Kansas, Scranton County, with a tornado potentially 5 miles to the north of Big Bow. So we'll see how all that shakes out, but I'll continue to monitor this stuff in the background as it does continue, but for now, we're likely going to be going off the air here for much of the night. Again, it's a dangerous situation. If you want to learn about how the rest of the night's going to look, you can be sure to take a look at our video that I made earlier today in regards to the severe weather that's going to be occurring over the next few days. But numerous tornadoes currently ongoing across this region. And again, if something extremely dangerous does occur again, I will be there to continue to cover it. So I hope that this was useful. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will be back if needed here later this evening. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.